Welcome back, dear viewers, to the RPG Imaginarium. Here we seek to catalog the best traditional gaming stories the internet has to offer. This one is a continuation of the last video, Ozzmar, the Brolyest of Paladins. Here we resume the story again. Speak my name and I shall be summoned. Ozzmar's chronicler here, the cleric. This is going to be a long one, so hold on to your dicks. After the death of tyrants, the game wound down a bit. I say a bit because there was never the slaying of another god. Well, there was sort of, but I'll get to that soon. We each get a fancy new item. Ozzmar got the Fire of the Gods, which was a gem that allowed him to show anyone at any time his memories. And that burned with a righteous fury, acting as a holy subtype fire attack, minus will. Blackguard got a dagger called the Tear of Faith. That was a tear of a dying god, which was a powerful, powerful thing, and basically had the power of fuck you one time ever, where she could activate it, and it would basically act as a plot device to let her do whatever she fancied for a while before it ran out of juice. Anyway, after completing the task at hand with the death of the king, Ozzmar turned his eyes northwards into the Forsaken Lands. A bit of backstory here. Everything beyond a certain point, known as the Ice Wall, was part of a region known as the Forsaken Lands, where no civilization had ever managed to take root. Like most stereotypical frozen norths, it was almost inhospitable to civilized life, filled with barbarians, and few people who went back over the wall came back. It was also Ozzmar's original homeland, a place he couldn't even remember, but he didn't know this, and it's not important. Anyway, we travel north past the ice wall, past the dead glaciers, through the tribal hunting grounds of the orcs and the Neanderthal, bringing civilization as we did, or trying to. Each time we took a step forwards, there was a step back, as if the land itself refused to be tamed by mere mortal hands. While we're there, we learn of a god, the only god in the area, the Northernmost Wind, a cruel, chaotic, evil god that refuses to let its domain be tamed, and kills anything, man or beast, that dares to carve its land to its will. So Ozzmar turns north once more, and we kept on going, Ozzmar leading the way, through mountain, through dale, over a frozen sea complete with giant serpents and a frozen undead dragon, because this place is like hell with ice skates, and our GM has a hard-on for awesome set pieces. By this point, we learn even more of the Northernmost Wind. It's the creature that feels the cold of this place and is practically older than time itself. An ancient monster so old that its realm is part of every map ever created. The ice wall isn't the edge of its domain, it's the edge of its prison, and all within are its toys to keep it distracted. Lo, my mighty horn of battle be filled with Gatorade. Ozzmar wishes to see these people free. My cleric by this point has decided to start focusing on fire-themed attacks to take advantage of the cold. And most of the group has done the same. Now the Blackguard is suffering badly from the cold because she was a half-elf, spindly little thing, and because plate mail plus heavy furs were too much for her. Needless to say, by the time we reached the mountains, we were a different party to when we entered. This wasn't civilized lands, and this was over the edge of the map. And to become a barbarian was the only way to face it. Ozzmar, by this point, has gone from being nearly 100% paladin to nearly 100% barbarian in looks. But under the furs and bone club, after his original was sundered by a Neanderthal chieftain, he is still the Brolyest that we know and love. Anyway, between us we managed to get further north than any civilized being has ever gone before, and we made an entire new race that has managed to survive up here. They don't even have a name. They're basically humans with 100% frost resistance and hard as fuck. We meet them, with a group of them ambush us by jumping out from about 10 feet of snow. Anyway, we managed to defeat them, and Ozzmar demands to be brought to their chieftain. They are, turns out, a mix of men and frost giants, and the leader is the largest frost giant we've ever seen. The guy is sitting on a throne carved at the foot of a mountain that goes above the clouds. He's taller than most trees and appears to be wearing leather armor that must have required an entire herd of small Auric to make. He's also so damn old that he can't stand, and so wise his beard has to be rolled up and kept in a basket next to him. "Why have you come?" the ancient behemoth asks, in a voice like creaking wind. "I am Ozzmar, warrior of the south and bane of tyrants. I have come to bring peace to this land." "There is no peace in the northern lands. Go home to your caves and ice huts, however far south they are, young warrior. Live long and happy knowing that we of the north live and die, so that you may have peace from the god of ice and sorrow. Each year he comes to face me, and each year for aeons. I have drawn equal with him, and now I am old, and he still young. And I lose a little more each day, and the world grows a little darker. Go home, live, love. Make merry, for most the world is cold but free. At which point Ozzmar's character realizes two things. That the frost giant has never seen the south as far as he knows. The frost touched the whole world. And then he uses detect good, and the frost giant glows like a beacon. A paladin beacon. The first paladin ever. One who follows no god. One who probably birthed the first god of hope, using nothing but his actions. So old that he was forgotten before time began. Ozzmar looks at this ancient warrior and kneels before him, paying respect to the founder of what would one day become the ideals that birthed the god, that his order followed. And then stands and says, I am Ozzmar, slayer of tyrants, warrior for all free people, and so long as any are bound by chains I will not go home. You and your people are bound to this place by duty. I will help you fulfill that duty. And he holds out the stone and touches the tired, worn old hero of a giant, who has nothing to live for and has slowly given up on existence over the years, thinking that all of his efforts have come to nothing. All his good deeds simply ash in the wind. He sees what Ozzmar has done, what the ideals that a giant have created have done, what the world of the South, the world he has never seen, is like, rich and vibrant and free and full of life. And the ancient creature weeps, his tears melting the frost of his beard, and he sees the beauty of what he has fought for. Even if he cannot fight anymore, he has seen it, and it was worth it. Now I think at this point the GM expected Ozzmar to take the giant's place and title as the first paladin and take on the beast of the north. What happened was far more interesting, as the Blackguard stepped forward and says, Ozzmar, could I show him something? Ozzmar looks at her and says he isn't sure it works like that, but she's willing to try anyway. I'm not sure what the old giant saw in her. Maybe that she wished to one day be with Ozzmar, or that if he took the giant's place he would never be with her, or that all she saw in Ozzmar were all that was good in her now. But he nodded and looked to Ozzmar. This seed is not yours to fill, he rumbled. Ozzmar is silent and looks up. Then I will slay it with the hands of a man. The GM looks at him, and out of character says, well, that's all well and badass, but how do you intend to kill a physical god? I mean, you killed one before, but this is an entire different league. You sure you want to do this? It'll probably be a player kill. I know, but Ozzmar would do it. Alright? Ozzmar looks back to the others and says, long ago I bound you in chains to me. Since then, we have been through so much, done so much, changed so much, and this is my fight as a paladin. And the others are silent for a moment, and the Blackguard steps forward and says, it's my fight too then. The girl secretly took levels in Paladin, starting after she rose from being a Blackguard. This was apparently Ozzmar's fetish, as he gave a damn girl look and they fist bumped as a couple. I stepped forward. I was never chained to you, and I think all of us can agree that we will follow you, so tough. Ozzmar grins a big toothy half-orc grin. Then we begin the climb at dawn. The GM is like, you do realize that this just means it'll probably be a total player kill instead. The monk replies, we are not to leave his side. Dawn next day, we're all freezing our asses off, and the giant has managed to unstick himself from his throne and has acquired a set of plate mail, and a sword so large that you could break it down for smaller swords for an entire unit of men. His men see him get up and are all like, what's going on here? And the ranger stands atop his throne, taking a minute or so to get up, and gives an incredible speech. I can't remember the whole details, it was like 5 or 6 minutes. On Ozzmar, on good, justice, freedom, the warmth of a newborn baby, hope, love, and all the things in the world worth fighting for. And the entire tribe looks on, confused as fuck. And one steps forward and says, so, we should come help you then? Gods know, you've all got to live through this. I was just explaining what Ozzmar is doing for you and what things will be like afterwards, so you have something to look forward to until we get back. And then he runs off after the rest of us. Anyway, a lot of trial and tribulation later, on Frost-Touched Mountain as we came to know it, because the druid was shit at naming things, We arrive at the top above the clouds. The GM describes this huge mead hall carved from bones, sitting atop the mountain peak, so cold that the ice doesn't even form, so it's a clear day. So we're cautious and we enter. Inside we find an entire hall of dead titans of various kinds, their skeletons stumped over the preserved tables, the entire place lit with torches. And on the throne at the head of the hall sits a creature of pure ice, a woman carved from snow. A bit of exposition later, we find out that the creature is a female frost giant who was the first evil creature in the world, and used to be the wife of the paladin giant beforehand, and who ended an entire age when she murdered the primordial giants. We kind of hang back for a bit because he obviously doesn't have the heart to really fight her, and that's probably why she's still alive. And then the big twist comes out. Because he loves her, he'll hold her back, but he can't bring himself to end her. The compassion and love of a paladin that drives him to protect all won't let him kill his own wife, because he knows that she's still good in there somewhere. Despite her entire reason for falling being that she felt she wasn't her husband's equal due to some throne problem, fucked if I remember, but it was a really petty reason that snowballed into the source of all evil in the world, Pandora's box style. And it ended with her killing their entire race, the Titan giants apart from the two of them, then trying to take over the world because if she couldn't be warm and happy in bed with her hubby, no one could and the entire world should suffer because it made her moist. Ozzmar steps forward before the giant, doesn't bother with speeches. He just powers up and charges with a screaming animal bellow of pure hatred and disgust for the person, no, the monster before him. The fight lasts 3 rounds before Ozzmar is on -3 HP, but he's managed to cut open her chest and stuff the red gem into her heart, thinking that it would change her nature. She ragdolls him across the room, and the fire of the gods, an item that literally represents all that is good and compassionate and virtuous about the world, shatters in her chest. The GM admits at this point that he's not sure if we can win. He was expecting the PCs to accept the dying paladin's power and each become a deity. We're strong, but we're not God strong. And the Blackguard steps forward as a heartless ice woman mocks Ozzmar. And she looks to the giant and says, "I was once a woman like that, before Ozzmar offered me kindness. All the kindness in the world cannot change her back. She is not the woman you love anymore, as I am not the woman Ozzmar despised," and offers him the dagger, while grabbing some of the shards of the now broken gem in hand as well for good measure. He hesitates and looks to her, then takes it, and it shatters. When the glow diminishes, he's young again for an ageless being, revived by the power of the dead god, returned to his old vim and vigor both internally and externally by the actions of the party. Hey, I never said it was an original or non-cliche story our GM ran. It had Tyrant Sorcerer Kings, remember? He steps up and so does she. She brings her ice sword down and he parries and he grabs her and kisses her one last time, while using his own power to neutralize hers. Pure good, pure evil. Total mutual annihilation if they were in equal amounts. Sadly, he's not quite as good as she is a raging monster, so she becomes mortal as he dies in her arms. And we've all moved to protect Ozzmar. Ozzmar's player was totally happy to step down and let everyone else have the epic finish, since, as he puts it, I've already had 4 guys nail the bitch, and the Blackguard steps the fuck up, sword in hand. The GM starts a whole "we can rule together, I have seen the evil in your heart" speech, but the PC slaps her as soon as she says, "I know the evil in your heart," and angrily says, "You chose yourself over the man you loved because you wanted power and felt like you weren't his equal. You aren't even fit to call yourself evil. You're just a selfish bitch." That day, the origins and frozen heart of all evil in the world died. The Blackguard and Ozzmar's holy symbols became blank, as the god of honorable combat himself, who had never been able to end this monster and had sort of not talked about the horrors of the North, shamefacedly stepped down, unable to call himself their master. The first paladin is now a god in setting. Ozzmar and the Blackguard are both minor living deities in his pantheon amongst the northern tribes, while the northernmost wind, as an ideal, no longer as a person, is part of the dark pantheon. The GM ruled that after we broke her, the feedback was so powerful that it shattered the snow enchantment of the north. There's still evil in the world, as always, but the oldest evil in the world ended at our hands that day. Afterwards, Ozzmar led the ice tribes south. As the water levels across the world rose, A bit inconvenient for the settings version of Venice, but fuck 'em, their god will look after them, and they're a bunch of lawful neutral dicks anyway. And created a place for them to live in the deep mountains, where a new civilization is rising. We've all agreed the next game we're doing in this universe, we're all taking members of the ice tribes, who are trying to grow accustomed to this new world of warmth, not being eaten by dire ice wolves and so forth. And of course dealing with the after effects, as old evils rise once more, awoken by the shot of their great-great-grand evil mother being shanked. But we can deal with it. Also in the epilogue, Ozzmar dicked the Blackguard, his master shotgun-weddinged him, and they finally had a sprog. But Ozzmar's player refuses to play him, saying he didn't want the GM to make any exceptions for him, and he'd rather make a whole new character so that Ozzmar can have his rest, and you guys can be the big-ass heroes next time while I hang back. Same as he said he'd be a minor deity in the first Paladin's pantheon, not the other way around despite our entire group's protest, because that'd be too much of a circle jerk for him. After all, as he put it, Ozzmar was just some random paladin who believed good, did good, and fought for good. Nothing special. That's what paladins are, right? Because he's a bro like that. And because he has no fucking sense of perspective. Thank you all once again for tuning into another RPG Imaginarium. We're glad you enjoy these stories and videos. If you enjoyed this video and want more like it, how about giving us a like and subscribing to our channel? We're always glad to hear your feedback, and if you have a story you'd like us to read, like this one for example, which was suggested by viewers like you, go ahead and send us a link, whether it's your story or posted somewhere else. And of course, we'll credit you in the original poster. We also have that all-newfangled social media you can follow us on, and if you'd like to support us financially, how about you check out our resident GM Chaz's books on Amazon Kindle. A special thanks once again to 4chan's TG board and Reddit, their associated archives and subreddits for providing such great stories. Thanks again, and stay caffeinated.